What was it like to be a Roman prostitute? What did they get up to when they weren't working? Did they have downtime? And what if you were a high-class prostitute? How much money could you make? As it turns out, being a prostitute in ancient Rome was much more than just sex work. It was a business, and this is the untold truth about Roman prostitutes. Welcome to my channel, and today we will take a look at the life of Roman prostitutes. Emperor Nero established the first regulated prostitution in Rome around 64 AD, after the Great Fire of Rome. Sex work has been present throughout history, but during the time of ancient Rome, it was illegal. However, since there was a huge demand for sexual services, sex workers still performed their services openly in taverns, brothels, and after the fire, he wanted to clean up the streets of Rome and get rid of public drunkenness, so he closed down all taverns and moved the drinking to the brothels. This made it easier for men to have access to sex workers as well. Roman prostitutes were not looked down upon by society, but rather were considered independent women who were free from the traditional roles that were expected of them. They had freedom and independence, which was uncommon for the time period. The high-class prostitutes were known as the most beautiful women in the empire. Emperor Nero would even use his power to select women for his pleasure. But away from the gold and jewels, what did their days look like? Did they do other things apart from sex work? Sex work in those times wasn't just about the physical act of sex. It was also about the company and friendship. It was common for wealthy men to seek out the friendship of prostitutes because they were independent and free-thinking women who were not bound by tradition or custom. Many prostitutes were literate, and some even kept their own slaves. They were skilled in the art of conversation and could hold their own in intellectual discussions, making them excellent companions for men who were tired of the empty-headed noblewomen that were presented to them as marriage prospects. For many wealthy men, prostitutes provided a welcome change from the vapid and shallow women they encountered in high society. The prostitutes were seen as more real, genuine, and interesting than the elite women who were often more concerned with status and appearances than with substance. Some historians even argue that the popularity of prostitutes as companions was due to the fact that they were more racially diverse than the upper classes, having African, Asian, and Eastern European blood. In contrast, the upper classes were mostly homogeneous and lacked the diversity that many Romans found appealing. Prostitutes were often portrayed as independent, strong-willed, and self-sufficient women who were not afraid to speak their minds. This was a refreshing change for many Romans who were accustomed to the submissive and obedient behavior expected of women in other social contexts. In addition to their conversational skills, prostitutes were also highly skilled in the art of seduction and romance. They knew how to make their clients feel special and desired, and they understood the importance of creating an atmosphere of luxury and excess. This made them ideal companions for men who were looking for an escape from the pressures and responsibilities of everyday life. Overall, prostitutes were seen as more authentic and genuine than the elite women of Roman society. They were independent, intelligent, seductive, and skilled in the art of romance, making them ideal companions for men seeking an escape from the vapid and superficial world of the upper classes. However, there is another side to this coin. There were many downsides to being a prostitute in those times. It's believed that around 1/3 of women in ancient Rome were prostitutes. The life of a Roman prostitute could be harsh and unforgiving. They faced significant social stigma, were constantly exposed to sexually transmitted diseases, and were often exploited and abused by their clients. Additionally, they had to deal with the dangers of the streets, including robbery and assault. The competition for customers was fierce, and only the most skilled and savvy prostitutes could make a decent living. Moreover, the legal system often failed to protect their rights, and they were frequently subjected to arbitrary arrests and imprisonment. Despite these challenges, many women were drawn to the profession, as it offered them a way to earn money and gain independence in a male-dominated society. Now let's talk money. How much did these women actually make? The amount of money a prostitute made in ancient Rome depended on several factors, including her social status, reputation, and the price she set for her services. Lower class prostitutes who worked in taverns and brothels earned very little money and often had to rely on tips from their clients. On the other hand, high-class prostitutes who cared to the wealthy elite could earn a significant amount of money. In fact, some of them became quite wealthy and were able to purchase property and even become landowners. These prostitutes often charged by the hour and could earn up to 500 sesterces per hour. Sesterces were Roman bronze coins that were minted between 400 BC and 476 AD. The value of the sesterce varied over time, but in the 1st century AD, one sesterce was worth approximately 2.5 modern US cents. Therefore, 500 sesterces would be equivalent to around $12.50 US. It is important to note that these prices are averages, and the actual amount a prostitute earned could be higher or lower depending on her individual circumstances. Furthermore, prostitutes were required to pay taxes on their earnings, and a portion of their income went to the state as a form of regulation and control. Now let's find out how much high-class prostitutes actually made. High-class prostitutes in ancient Rome could make a significant amount of money, enough to live a luxurious lifestyle and even amass wealth. These prostitutes often charged by the hour and could earn up to 500 sesterces per hour. In addition to their earnings from clients, high-class prostitutes could also receive gifts of money and property from their clients. Some prostitutes were even able to negotiate fixed payments for specific services, such as for accompanying a client to social events or on extended trips. For example, a prostitute might agree to accompany a Roman senator on a journey to Greece for a fixed fee. During the trip, she would provide the senator with companionship and sexual services while traveling. Such arrangements allowed prostitutes to earn a steady income and plan for the future. With careful management of their finances, prostitutes could save their earnings and invest them in property or businesses. Some prostitutes purchased vineyards, farms, and even brothels, which provided them with additional sources of income and social status. Additionally, some prostitutes were able to secure financial support from wealthy clients who became enamored with them. In some cases, these relationships resulted in long-term partnerships, where the client provided the prostitute with a comfortable lifestyle and financial security. It is important to note that the amount of money a prostitute made could vary widely depending on her reputation, social connections, and ability to negotiate prices. However, it is clear that high-class prostitutes in ancient Rome had the potential to earn a substantial amount of money and live a life of luxury. That's all for now. Do you want to know more about ancient Rome? Check out the next video.